Hi, my name's Ruth. I'm going to talk to you about FGM. But before I start, I just want to tell you that some of what we're talking about will be quite upsetting. So just think about who's in the room with you. You might need to wait until you're by yourself, or at least until there's no children around. Okay? So, FGM, it stands for female genital mutilation, sometimes called female genital cutting or circumcision, and it means the cutting or damaging of a girl's or woman's private parts with no medical reason. There's lots of different words for FGM in different languages. Katana, Sunat, Meknisab, Sunna, Kifad, Bada, Tahor, Takor, Mutilation génitale féminine, Mutilation génitale féminine. I'm going to start with a quiz. True or false? You might want to get a piece of paper and write down your answers. I'm going to just ask you whether these statements are true or false. FGM doesn't happen in the UK. Is that true or false? FGM is like male circumcision. It's okay if it's done by a nurse or a doctor. FGM is done to babies. It's a religious thing. It's a private family thing. Okay, answers. FGM doesn't happen in the UK. What did you think? Do you think that's true or is it false? It's false. In 2011, it was thought that around 137,000 women in the UK had had FGM. Between 2016 and 2017, there were around 5,400 new cases of FGM in the UK. FGM is like male circumcision. What did you think? Is that true or false? It's false. Boys who are circumcised do not suffer lifelong health problems. In the next slides, we will see what happens to girls and women who have FGM. You will see that FGM is dangerous and causes health problems that last forever. Here are a woman's or girl's private parts. Everyone's looks a bit different, just like all our faces are different. So, here we have the anus, where we pass stool. And here is the urethral opening, where we urinate or pass water. This is the vaginal opening. So this is where a woman's menstrual flow comes out. It's also the part she uses for sexual intercourse, and it's where the baby comes out when the baby's born. So here and here, these are the labia, and you have the inner labia and the outer labia. And their job is protection, to keep these parts clean. It also helps with the direction of urine, and it also helps during childbirth. And finally here, we have the clitoris, and the clitoris is the only part of the human body whose only purpose is sexual pleasure. So now we're going to see what happens when FGM is done to a girl or a woman. There are 4 types. So in type 1, all or part of the clitoris is cut off. In type 2, the clitoris and the inner labia and sometimes part of the outer labia are cut off. In type 3, nearly all the private parts are cut off, and then the wound is sewn up so that the girl is completely closed, apart from a very tiny hole which allows the menstrual flow to come out. And finally, in type 4, this just means that the private parts are damaged in other ways, such as by burning or pricking or piercing. So, the results of FGM, straight away when it happens, sometimes it causes death. So the girl or the baby or the woman will just die. Obviously, there's going to be very severe pain. She may have broken bones from being held down while it's done. She may get an infection, including HIV. There may be injury to other tissue. There may be severe bleeding. And then later, she may have menstrual problems. She may have urinary infections, water infections, psychological problems, sexual problems, difficulty getting pregnant, problems for the baby during pregnancy, and difficulty giving birth, which may cause death or injury to the mother or to the baby. So, maybe you think it's okay if a doctor or a nurse does it. Well, this is false. Usually, FGM is done by somebody with no training. There's no pain relief, and no proper surgical instruments, and no hygiene. And of course, this means danger from bleeding and infection. But even if FGM is done by a nurse or a doctor, the long-term damage to the woman's body is the same. FGM is done to babies. What did you think? True or false? It's false. Sometimes it is done to babies, but it can be done to little girls or teenagers. Sometimes it's done just before marriage or even in pregnancy. It's a religious thing. Lots of people think that, but it's false. FGM is not found in the Quran or the Torah or the Bible or any other holy book. Many scholars and authorities from all religions condemn FGM. For example, Islam forbids the changing of the body or harm to anyone. And from a Christian perspective, I won't read all of this, but when God created the human being, he made everything in him or her good. Each organ has its function and role. So why do we allow the disfiguring of God's good creation? There is not one single verse in the Bible, not one single verse speaks of female circumcision. It's a private or family thing. This is false. Because of the harm done to girls and women, FGM cannot be a family thing. FGM is against many international laws and conventions. For example, the UN Convention on the Rights of the Child, Article 19, states that governments must protect the child from all forms of physical or mental violence, injury or abuse, neglect or negligent treatment, maltreatment or exploitation, including sexual abuse. Many laws, many countries, including the UK, have laws against FGM. So, what does the law say? FGM is illegal in the UK. It's against the law to do it to anyone. It's against the law for a British person to do FGM in another country. It's against the law to send your daughter to another country for FGM. Someone could go to prison for 14 years. If you're a woman, you might be thinking, what if I've had FGM? Some women don't know if they've had FGM, if it was done when they were a baby. If you have had FGM, or you think that you have, don't be afraid. You will not be in trouble. Tell a nurse or a doctor. They can help with some of the effects. If you're pregnant, they can help keep you and the baby safe. What if someone is in danger of FGM? If you or someone else is in danger right now, call the police, 999. Say that someone is going to have FGM. If it's too dangerous to speak, you can tap the phone, tap 55. If you think someone is planning to do FGM, the law can protect girls and women from FGM. You need an FGM protection order, FGMPO. With an FGMPO, the court will tell a girl's family that they must not let her have FGM. They may have to hand in her passport or agree not to take her to see a cutter or put pressure on her. As long as the girl's family obey the protection order, they will not be in trouble. But if they try to break the order, they can go to prison for up to 14 years. But some people think that the family back home say, my daughter must have FGM. You have to tell them FGM is very dangerous and harmful. Tell them FGM is a serious crime here. Even if it's done in another country, the parents could still go to prison. Show them the FGM passport. I'll tell you more about that in a minute. Remember, FGM is often illegal, even in countries where it is common. And people there are fighting against it too. You can get an FGM passport from the government website. It's to show people from your home country that FGM is a serious crime in the UK. Here's some of the English text, and it explains how serious FGM is, and that it's a crime and that you could go to prison. You can download and print the FGM passport in many different languages, so you can show that to your family back home. If you need help, you can get an FGMPO yourself by going to the police, or you can ask someone to help you. Remember, you can ask for a female professional if you want. Say if you need an interpreter. A doctor, nurse, or midwife can help. You can talk to your child's school or your social worker if you have one, or ask Global Link for help. And finally, here are some phone numbers and web addresses which can give you more help.